warm authority, a seething psychopath, young mom. I like walks on the beach.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard.
And I'm Talon Williams.
I'll be
And
Bruce
we're
Carey.
he got to it before I did.
Sorry.
Yes.
You are perfectly fine. So you may know him from Dragon Ball Super. You may know him from DC Universe Online, maybe One Piece, maybe a little My Hero Academia, or maybe you remember him from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh,
But
God.
we are talking to the man himself, Bruce Carey. Bruce, how are you today?
I'm fine. I just got a residual check for Walker.
Awesome.
They aren't big these days, you know. It's years down the road and it's running on cable. But anyway.
Yeah. Was that like INSP or something like that? They're showing just a whole bunch of reruns on that station, pretty much.
and
USA, yeah.
whatever cable channel shows like 16 commercials in a row at the breaks, that's the one it's running on.
That's the one. So Bruce, for those that don't know, who is Bruce Carey?
Warm authority, a seething psychopath, young mom. I like walks on the beach. Yeah. I'm a guy who's I like to think I'm just a regular guy, but I started in performance like really young, walking around my parents' cocktail parties, doing Senator Ted Kennedy or whatever it was I was doing in my little bow tie, drinking a Shirley Temple. And then I did children's theater and got a syndicated TV role when I was 14 and got an agent and, studied Meisner method and did some on camera. You mentioned Walker, Texas Ranger, done some TV shows and 4 or 5 movies and kind of always been a performer. Voice acting became my main thrust when I was 19 and kind of been behind a microphone ever since. It's been a day or two.
So what sparked your desire to want to perform and entertain people?
Well, looking back, I think if I hadn't done it, I would either be dead or in jail because I needed an outlet. I was always the class clown and, always doing character voices. And I think I'm just one of those guys who was always predisposed to it. If you talk to actors, and you guys do a lot, it's one of two paths. It's like it started, when I was knee high to a grasshopper, or later in life, and I got training and all that stuff. For me, it was just always there. I would watch Warner Brothers cartoons when I was a kid, all that stuff, and just do all the noises and the voices and the characters. And I think it's probably was always in my blood. It wasn't a choice, maybe. How about that? It was just the only path.
I can definitely.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Yes, absolutely.
So, I can't remember if you mentioned. Have you done any like theater?
I did children's theater.
Children's theater.
I have, and I did a few things as an adult. I just one, my agent booked me for Albert Einstein, and so there was no script. It was all improv, and so it was like the audience would just ask you questions, and you would answer as Albert Einstein. That was a few years back. But once I got behind a microphone and got on camera, not too much theater after that, but that was certainly my start.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
I one thing that I've learned from talking with voice actors over the years is a lot of them got their start in theater. And then move forward from there. And then some have gone to do theater since. So I've always found that interesting.
No, I think it's very common. Often later in film actors' careers, I just read Robert Downey Jr. is now doing his first. I think it's his first Broadway role, and
I believe you're right.
Yeah, he just kind of looped back to that. So, I think I have a voice acting school online called Voices Carey, voicescarey.com. And the way that happened was I just looked back a couple of years ago and I went, I've had all these experiences, and I've been doing this since I was 19 years old. How about if I share it? So then I just designed this voice acting method, and we teach it and all that stuff. And I've always, to address the whole theater question, it's just always been so much easier to get performances out of actors who come from theater, particularly character work, anime, video game, that kind of stuff. If I'm directing someone, I know immediately if they came from theater, because theater makes you do it big. You know, you develop characters with wide breadth, and it's just easier to pull somebody back than it is to push them to perform. So, love people who come from theater.
Yeah. Did you like have like, I mean, obviously we just you just talked a second ago about how like you believed that you were just a natural entertainer. You just wanted to do that. How did you get involved with the voice acting? Was it something that it's like, hey, I might want to do this because, it just happened to happen? Did you audition first? Did someone tell you about it? Like, how did you get into the voice acting part of your career?
Excellent question, man. I went to college the first time when I was 18. In short order, pretty much figured out not ready for this, or I'm tired of being a student. My brother was a rock DJ on a local radio station. A guy named Don Imus was leaving Cleveland to go to New York, and Steve was taking his job. And so I was in Columbus, Ohio at the time at WCOL-FM. I was about to be. And his program director said, okay, you're not in college anymore. I'll train you. You want to be on the radio? And I said, sure. I could use a job. And part of, I don't know how it is these days, but part of radio in those days, rock radio, was you did your on-air gig 4 hours a day. And when you got off, you had a production shift and you did commercials. And that's pretty much how I got into it. And then I guess I was okay, because then somebody noticed, and agents, and then people ask. And then once you have an agent, that was my road in, was just doing local commercials and that was part of your salary. You didn't make any extra money for commercials. And
wow.
Then you get noticed, and pretty soon the agent says, well, okay, I want to send you out on this narration. And like, I mean, it's not sexy, guys, but I was the voice of the PAC-3 missile for Lockheed for 10 or 12 years, and Cleveland Clinic. I've done some US Navy stuff. And it's, as I said, it's not what you consider fun character work, but it creates a very well-rounded voice actor. You get to do all kinds of different work. I don't know if that really answered your question, or if I just talked. But
No, it was really, really good and insightful process to the thing. Yeah, because it's almost like you're describing, like, like, oh, I love doing the anime stuff. It's like sometimes you got to do the boring stuff. You got to do the commercials. You got to do the medicine commercials. Side effects may include and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, great answer, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the character work, anime and video game. That's you mentioned DC Online Universe. I was Bruno Mannheim in the Batman thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun stuff. And Silvers Rayleigh is very fun, and Lemo, and Gerard, the Black Knight, and all that stuff. But really, what has paid the bills is 5 years of Walmart jewelry, special gifts for special girls.
There you go.
I mean,
whatever gets
as
you
long
paid,
as it pays, yeah, as long as the check clears, right?
Exactly.
Not to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead.
The check clearing. I once called my dad. I was about, I don't know, 25 or something. And I said, hey, Dad, I just signed a 2-year contract with the hottest rock station in the country in Chicago for more money than I've ever made. And he said, great. Did they sign it? And I said, well, no, not yet. He goes, yeah, call me when the first check clears.
Wow.
That sounds like something my grandfather would say.
Yeah.
So do you remember what that first, like, anime voice acting role was that you got?
Probably, that goes back to Ride Back or one of those really old ones. But I think the first one of note that I got was Silvers Rayleigh in One Piece. And I've been doing that role for about 15 or 16 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of back when, people would ask you it's very different now. Say, hey, what do you do? And I say, well, I do voiceover, voice acting. What's that?
Mm.
People, it didn't have the high profile. There weren't cons or anything like that. And, people weren't all that familiar with One Piece yet. That's one of my very favorite roles, by the way, Silvers Rayleigh.
Yeah. We were fixing it. I was going to ask that question later on in the program, but was you a fan of anime before you became a voiceover actor for anime?
Yes. Akira, and it starts with an N, Valley of the Winds. It's a really old one. And those are from the late 80s, early 90s. So yes, I was. I mean, I always watched cartoons and dug that a lot. And I always watched, since day one, the early animated Avengers and, Batmans and stuff like that. So yes, I was always a fan. And then once I started doing it, I went, oh, this is cool. I'm kind of digging the Japanese thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so you've done probably are arguably the biggest anime in One Piece, and you play Silvers Rayleigh. We talked about that. Um, and you've done Walker Texas Ranger. What are some of the other live action shows that you've been in? You did mention that you've done a couple of movies and a couple of TV series.
I did. There's a director named John Keyes, and I was in his seventh film. I think it's called Phobia. And it's not your average vampire movie. And I enjoyed that one a lot because I got to do a character. I got to be Baron Dracul, who's the father of of the guy who was suspected of tearing the throats out of all these people in Paris. And it's a feature-length film. And the plot was, it's also a period piece. It's a vampire movie that takes place, live action, that takes place in Paris when, at the time, Sigmund Freud is also having one of the first psychiatric conventions. And it's really, I enjoyed that a lot. That was big fun. A lot of night shoots, a lot of makeup, a lot of blood. Got to do a character, got to play dress up. So yeah, there's that one. The walkers, I did four or five of those. I think four of them. And that was fun. And I started studying martial arts around the time of that. I'm a black belt now, but I just started studying Kenpo. Back then I was like a purple belt or something. And in a couple of those walkers, they would take us to a warehouse with mats and they go, okay, let's rehearse the fight scene. And I just started the martial arts. So it was really interesting. And I did something that, no, this is TV. It has to be, it has to be a big, wide, pronounced swing. You have to fall and act. And so, okay. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm here on your IMDb page right now, and it's showing all of the credits that you have. Obviously, we've talked about a few of them, but you've also done voiceover work, obviously for Dragon Ball Super, My Hero Academia, Black Summoner, Yu Yu Hakusho. You were the voice of Captain on Ruby. Out of all of the voices that you do, and we've asked this question to several other voice actors as well. Like, how do you, I guess, keep the voices under control? How do you remember all of the voices that you do for all the individual characters that you voice?
Thank you for asking great questions. Yeah. First of all, if you're a voice actor of any experience, and if you started doing it as the class clown, you started doing it young, you have a catalog of characters in your head. And this character is the nerd, and this character's the arrogant know-it-all, and a leprechaun, a Russian gangster, or maybe something like that. And each one has certain vocal qualities, which in the Voices Carey method we call the external work, and certain internal qualities, which are like personality traits. And when you get to a certain point where you have a pretty good catalog inside your head, every time Funimation, now Crunchyroll, has an audition, you don't have to, or any character audition, you don't have to start from scratch. You can pull components from the catalog of characters in your head and sort of suit it to something you're auditioning for. Then you can hone it and make it unique. There's also something in acting, guys, called being in the moment. And if you're fully in the scene and fully in the moment, there is no confusion. I know who Gerard is in Black Summoner. I know he's been sitting there guarding an empty castle for centuries before, he gets discovered and becomes part of the Summoner's team. And I don't confuse him with Silvers Rayleigh, and I don't confuse Silvers Rayleigh's internal characteristics. I act from the inside out, so it's inside first, and then it comes out as a voice. So character first, then voice. It's like asking a songwriting team, hey, do you write the words or the music first? It's always internal for me first. And so that internal roadmap doesn't really let me get off course. I know who I am in the moment. If it's Gerard in Black Summoner, or it's Lemo in Super Broly or Superheroes, if Silvers Rayleigh, whoever it is, it's distinct and unique to that moment. And when I'm in the booth, in that scene, I don't even think about it, fellas. I'm on track, and that's who I am. And that's kind of an important thing too. It's like you kind of leave Bruce Carey at the recording booth door, and then while you're in the booth, you are the character. One of the biggest, broadest ones I did was a character named Toriko, Yusaku in Toriko, which is not a real well-known anime, but it was, it was very big and boisterous, and it was a lot of fun. That's one of my favorites too.
I'm gonna have to look into that one then.
Yeah.
I'm always on the look for like rare gems in anime. Like, why wasn't this popular? Why is it not? Do people not think it's good? And then you watch it, and then it's like, well, that wasn't as bad as everyone says it is. This is actually pretty great.
There's an accolade. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad at all. My girlfriend, how's the meatloaf, honey? Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Ooh, good. Gonna get a lot of points. Yeah.
There you go.
So were there any specific actors that kind of inspired or influenced you when you were growing up? And I know you said you watched, the Looney Tunes and stuff, but can you remember a specific actor or actors?
Well, I mean, obviously, top of the list is Mel Blanc. There never was and never will be anybody like him again. He could do anything from a sputtering 1930s car to all those distinct Porky Pigs and Bugs Bunnies and all that. So, yeah, I would have to say top of the list is Mel Blanc. There are other legacy actors like Paul Frees and Bill, what's his name, who did Bullwinkle J. Boots. I liked him a lot. And Joni Gerber, and that's going way back. Kevin Conroy, sure, Batman, that kind of thing. That you really kind of caught me there. I don't. It's funny. I try to treat every show, whether somebody tells me it's good or bad, when I start to watch it, I try to keep like the critical comments I've heard from my friends or from anybody else off to the side and just go, okay, a lot of people put a lot of time writing, performing, and producing this thing. it's art. I'm just going to let it roll over me, and then I'll just see how I feel about it. So, and I often, it's funny, a funny thing. I was never really a fanboy. I was always a performer. So I, I it's not like I go, oh, swoon, swoon, that actor's great. I kind of never did that. I hope that's not disappointing to people.
No, 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 no. I completely understand that. I have friends who like, when we put these out and they'll call me and they'll be like, "Oh, you got to what was it like to talk to Bruce Carey? Like, I love him and all this." And I was like, like, I was like, it's just I'm talking to another person about their job,
There you go.
and that I don't say that to diminish what you do, but it's like, I'm asking him about his job and certain things. I don't know. To me, it's like you're just another person.
Exactly. Um, Iron Man is Iron Man, but Robert Downey Jr. puts his pants on one leg at a time and has kids and, you know,
Yeah.
takes him to soccer practice and all that stuff. It is work. Um, and you said job, so that to me means work. But at the same time, it sure is a lot better, Chip, when you love what you do.
I
Yeah. Yes.
that is I right there with you. Because if you don't enjoy it, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
Amen,
I,
Bubba.
Yeah.
I mean, the money can be good, but if you're miserable, you're still miserable.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many financial guys and lawyers and a few judges I've coached in voiceover. Uh, and they make great cake, but I say to them, "Why are you here?" And they go, "Creative outlet. I miss the creative outlet. Used to do this in high school or college or whatever." So yeah, I'm super lucky, and I know that. I'll be the first one to tell you that. Um, this is pretty much what I've done since I'm 19, full time. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've done this since you was 19 years old, and you've been in many different you've had many different roles in live action stuff, many different roles in anime.
Yep.
I'm not going to, well, I am going to ask you to choose because we talk about when we ask other voice actors and other actors this, they're known for different characters, and we always have to ask the question, who's your favorite? And I know it's like picking your favorite kid or whatever, but what's some of your favorite characters or roles that you've had over the course of your career?
Um, well, first of all, stage is fun and on camera's fun. I'm a voice actor first and foremost. So, as far as an area of performance, that's it for sure, top of the
Okay.
list. And as far as characters go, Talon, I I just have always thought Silvers Rayleigh is just he's a cool dude, and so he's probably top of my list. I really like Lemo. Lemo's kind of this crusty guy, scavenging the universe. I like him a lot. Um, those are probably the top two. Um, I'd have to go back and like look at my own credits. I suppose I could bring those up and because you're looking at them, but those are really the ones that really stand out to me. Um, I don't know. What do you like that I've done?
I mean, obviously,
Ooh.
obviously we have to go with Silvers Rayleigh from One Piece.
Yeah.
I remember watching at the time, I didn't realize that you were the voice of Captain and Ruby. And the only
Oh
reason why,
yeah.
the only reason why I started, like, see, I'm a fan of Rooster Teeth when they were still around, even though they're technically kind of still around, even though they're not
Right.
around. That's a debate for a whole nother discussion. But yeah, I didn't realize until looking at this, I'm like, he was the voice of the captain on Ruby. Like, wow. Like, I thought, okay, very interesting because I've been watching Ruby for God, a couple years now.
Uh-huh.
Was one of the ones I got into. But yeah, that one. And then there's a couple of other ones on here. Obviously playing Lemo in Dragon Ball Super also. Yeah. It says right here you were the and again, I'm going through. Obviously, you played Gerard in Black Summoner.
I did.
I haven't got a
Yeah.
chance to watch that yet. I need to watch Black Summoner.
That
That's another one that's another one I'm putting on my list. I got like 15 that I need to get to be honest with you.
yeah.
Um,
So to answer your question, Bruce, uh I think Gerard is probably my favorite character that you have voiced. It's just something interesting about that voice for me.
And from the voice actor standpoint, it was, I mean, yeah, okay, character, got it. But
Mhm.
he had the suit of armor on.
Yeah.
I didn't have to match any flaps. That's a big part of the work is matching flaps. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I like that character a lot. I had a lot of fun doing that. That's a
Yeah,
fairly recent show. Yeah.
yeah,
it is. And it's you really brought the for me, you really brought the character to life because like you said, he's in the suit of armor. There's not really any like facial expressions or emotions. You have no flaps to coincide with, but you brought emotion to it through just your voice.
Yeah. That's interesting. And yet at the same time, it's full body acting. If you had a camera in the booth, you would see a lot of the enemies swinging their sword and efforts and all that stuff. Right. What you get on the other end is voice. But
yeah.
know that all good voice actors are doing full body acting.
Yeah, that was something that Mike McFarland told us. We did a panel at a convention, and the con runner asked us to record his panel, and people were asking questions, and I asked a simple question. I said, "What advice would you give somebody who wants to be a voice actor?" And the first thing he said was, "Become an actor first, because that way you can get the physical and the emotional range of the characters that you're doing, and that way it can project through your voice. If you know how to act it out, then you know how to speak it through the microphone and stuff." And I thought it was very, very interesting. Is that something that you also feel like people,
Oh, yeah.
if people want to get into voice acting, they do need to be not like classically trained,
Oh, no, no.
theater or whatever, but at least have some type of acting class or something under their belt to kind of help them through that journey to become a
Oh,
voice actor?
sure, sure. We have a saying at Voices Carey, and that is a voice is two-dimensional, a character is three-dimensional. And so that's what we do. We have voice acting classes, not to plug my thing, but since you
No, please
introduced it,
plug
Plug
away.
away, plug away.
well,
Description in the comments, folks.
yeah. I mean, we have group classes, voicescarry.com. We have private classes. We do demos, but we have a dedicated writer, Rachel, and we use all original scripts, and we write the scripts specifically for certain genres. This is character dialogue. And we talk a lot about the voice coming second and moving through the scene, making the scene real. We always say actors' questions. And this is people come to us with no acting experience. And that's okay. That's sometimes even better because they haven't learned bad habits from somebody else. But first thing, they'll do a character or do some lines, and we'll say, okay, who are you talking to? Where are you? And what's your relationship? And what's your goal here? And what are you feeling? So it's really all about that. Yeah. And Mike McFarland, I've known Mike, I don't know how long, years and years. I think he is the longest running director at Crunchyroll. I think he has the most seniority. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been doing it forever. And he's a great actor. And he's absolutely right. So, but no, you don't have to be classically trained. You can just say, I get calls every day. It's like, hey, I want to be a voice actor. Where do I start? And I go, get into group class, start with those scripts. And through that, I think it's just like doing anything else. How do I learn to play the guitar? Well, first get a guitar.
Yep.
Pluck the strings a little bit. Before you buy the shoes, you should try them on. And so, yeah, I mean, there's unequivocally and emphatically, yes, you need to be an actor sooner or later. no matter how great your voice is, it's always about more than the voice. And a director is going to ask more from you than just manipulating your voice. It's going to be, I love you is not the same as, but I love you. It's just, you have to feel it. What is acting? It's funny. Acting isn't really thinking. Acting is feeling. Say that every day. And to be a good actor is to be able to communicate that feeling with other people. And that takes a little bit of skill. You got to practice and you got to learn some things, but yeah, it can be done.
You said something very interesting, that acting is about feeling. But then you hear stories about how certain actors get lost in a character, in a sense. I think probably the most well-known was Heath Ledger getting lost in the character of the Joker and things of that nature. It's like, does that happen? I mean, obviously with Heath Ledger it did, but have you known of an instance where they are
Oh, yeah.
just so locked into being this character, and even maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks after the shooting's wrapped up, they're like, it's like they can't come back to reality in a weird sense? Does that happen?
There's a famous story about this crazy play called Marat Sade, which was done in New York years ago. And something like 4 or 5 of the cast members had to go see a head doctor for many, many weeks after that.
Oh, wow.
Because they were just in it. You become the character. And yeah, I mean, it happens. It does happen. Yeah, it's great when you can fully become it. It's nice if you have an exit strategy.
Got to have that exit strategy.
Yep.
So when it comes to your voice, and that's what you use most, do you have any techniques or exercises that you do to maintain your vocal health? Uh, Bruce, you muted.
That's a great question. The main thing is, it's like athletes. Maintain good body mechanics and you won't hurt yourself. So we talk about moving from the core. Even if you're way in your upper range, I still feel my diaphragm pushing. So I would say the main thing is learn to move from the core of your voice. A lot of people are just, moving from the glottis up. And that's kind of how you hurt yourself. Or if you're doing a lot of distortion in the voice, and this is a 3-hour session. You have 300 lines. Ooh, you better be pushing from the diaphragm and moving. I don't know if this means a lot to you, but singers know it. It's called pedagogy in singing, and that's just good physical form. You move with the entire vibrating air column instead of just a section of it. That's my best answer.
All right, I get it. I definitely will help me out. I do a lot of talking and
Yep.
everything, and so
just whatever you do. Oh, put your hand on your diaphragm. And even if you're way in your upper range, just make sure that diaphragm is moving, and that's the source of the power. And that way you'll never hurt yourself up here.
Perfect.
That's great.
So in your opinion, what sets apart a good voice actor from a great voice actor?
Probably talent. I
I knew
mean,
that was coming.
well, it
Yeah.
sounds simple, but I can teach a technique all day long. And some people are run on all talent. Some musicians just play by the seat of their pants, and others are classically trained. I always liken what we do to musicianship, because this is a musical instrument, the voice. But talent can't be taught. Mozart was born the way he was, and certainly training polished that gemstone. But yeah, I just think that difference between championship class and world class is probably, and there's some great actors out there who, have, X amount of talent and a lot of training and have worked very hard. Somebody once asked Thomas Edison how he gets his great ideas, and he said 5% inspiration, 95% perspiration. And so there are people, performers, who can take, this much talent and work it and work it and work it and work it and make it that big. So my initial answer is talent. That a lot of people are born with it. It's tough to teach it, but you can really, really work on it and make up for it.
This kind of reminds me of something that my grandfather told me many moons ago. It's hard work will overcome talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Oh, wow. I never heard that one. That's good.
Yeah, he told me that. I'm sure I was complaining about doing something he wanted me to
You
do.
never.
You know. So how do you approach building a character's backstory? Oh, so when you're given a character that there's no backstory to, how do you approach creating that backstory to come up with the voice?
I've done it for so long, I don't even think about it anymore.
Oh wow.
But the way I assume you're asking me that, so other voice actors can have a point of reference and kind of a roadmap. Start with what is my, who am I? What kind of, am I a nice guy? Am I a manipulative guy? Am I a bit timid? Start with personality traits. And then you actually can start with something as simple as, what's my favorite color? What do I like to eat? Where did I go to, middle school? Was I a skateboarder? I kind of do all that just automatically now. But if you ask me to deconstruct it, I would say that. And then also pull from the people the people in your sphere. That nutty aunt who's just, she's just out there. Or your next door neighbor that you grew up with, and he was a little different than the rest of the boys, whatever. You can, because if you're asked to do a serial killer, then you really have to kind of go off the path and really go and dig deep. So, but I think you can start as simply as, what do I like? What's in my life? Do I like animals? Do I have a dog? Did I always want to be a race car driver? I just I have a bunch of flip cards in my head that I just do that, Chip. Just go through it.
Awesome.
Do you prefer portraying more of a protagonist or an antagonist? It doesn't matter either way to you, whichever the role calls
Yeah.
for.
As long as it's juicy, I don't care.
Okay.
Got to have that juiciness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've heard from a lot of voice actors that that sometimes it's just more fun to play the antagonist. So I always wanted to ask that question, if you feel like it's more fun to play the antagonist than the protagonist in some animes.
Right. I was in one called Shakugan no Shana 3, and I'm sort of this floating godlike character who is, I won't say beyond good and evil, but encompasses both. And Lemo is like that in the DBZ verse. He was kind of an outlaw, I mean, he was kind of working for the Frieza Force, who you might call the bad guys, but then he meets Chilai and Broly, and he starts to turn. And I feel like he's in the process of becoming a better person, as corny as that may sound.
Right.
So he's kind of, they're okay. How about this? The most interesting characters to me have elements of both.
That's a really good answer, actually.
Yeah,
More
I like
like
that.
an anti-hero almost, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Uh, so what do you think are some of the biggest areas or opportunities for growth in the voice acting industry?
Well, it's funny. Another great question because people go, well, is there more work now? Is there less work now? There is more work than ever before in all areas. Um, Audiobooks has blown up. There are tons of commercials and narrations to be done. Um, but our main focus here, our area, the area of anime, has just gone nuclear. I mean, there's so much work out there.
Yeah.
Was talking to the guy who's the executive producer of the shows at Crunchyroll, and I don't know when it was, 12 months ago or something, and I just said, "How many shows do you have in production right now?" And he said, 37, and that's a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, and now Korea's gotten into the act. I've done a couple of Chinese shows. I recently did Daily Life of the Immortal King, and I think that's a Chinese show. Uh,
Okay.
and So anime that's a huge area for opportunity. Anime and video game. I know that's the fun stuff. The commercials will always be there, and narrations, and you can certainly do that. And there are people whose careers focus on that. And political stuff, which we're not going to talk about politics or religion here, just like mom said at the dinner table. Um, but there's work in all those areas. But it is amazing to me, nothing short of amazing, how anime and video game have just gone.
Yeah. That being said, though, there's also, we had talked about this with a couple of other voice actors as well. The advent of AI, artificial intelligence, possibly replacing certain voice actors or replacing certain characters and things of that nature. What is your personal opinion about the usage of AI in the voice acting industry? Are you obviously, I mean, are you against it? Are you more like, could it be a tool to help with future projects? What is your honest opinion about AI in the anime industry?
I'm not a fan. Um, I always want real human actors. Um, if I go to the symphony or the ballet and I do that, I want a live orchestra. I don't want to see them dance to tracks.
Yes.
So, or samples. And I understand that it's more economically efficient. But I'm SAG after, have been for many years. And this whole strike we just went through, that was, I mean, streaming rights and AI were the two main points. And not at all. Not at all, Talon. I just I want flesh and blood actors, and I it hurts my heart to think um, that working voice actors could be replaced by an algorithm.
Yeah.
And they can be, and I cannot. I'm not in the deep, the large library development room, whatever they call AI now. Um, so I don't really know the state of development and efficiency of the software right now, but my God, we put a helicopter on Mars. I'm sure that'll just continue to develop to the point where um, it's pretty darn close to a human voice. So,
Mhm.
but not a fan. I want real people. Technology should help human beings, not replace them.
I see. I'm right there with you. I
Yep.
just don't. I don't like the thought of a computer taking over an art form, and that's what I look at voice acting is. It's an art form,
Of course,
and you're taking away the emotion of the voice actor or actress who are playing that role. Just my opinion, but
You can always tell when something's AI generated in terms of voice. It's very monotone. It doesn't have any rhythmic cadence to it, and you can't really. It's almost like almost like when you get those automated phone calls and stuff. Like it's an automated phone call, so you just hang up immediately. But now some of these even these automated phone calls, even the pre-recordings, a lot
Right.
of them sound like they're legit. Like on the phone, it's like, hey, can you hear me? Okay, blah blah blah. I, in my opinion, like I think like they like James Cameron did Terminator and all these like do you not know what could happen? You know what I mean? If you just let the machines win, I don't know. I don't like I mean, could it be used? I mean, it could be used to make like funny pictures or whatever, or things like memes and things of that nature. I'm sure people have seen them on their social media platforms and things of that nature, but I don't. I hate to. I would hate to see this technology replacing voice actors for whatever reason, whether it's anime, whether it's cartoons, whether it's narration, whether it's commercials, whatever the situation calls for. Because then where do you stop? Or is AI going to start producing its own music? Do you just does an artist just record his voice and then they just AI generate it onto a track and it's
That's
like
already being done.
right, and that's my point. It's like how far are they going to take this before the art basically becomes meaningless to the point to where no one's going to care about it anymore because it's so watered down and to the point to where it's like no one cares anymore.
Then we have to talk about the definition of art. As far as I'm concerned, in my world, art is created by human beings.
I agree with you
Amen.
wholeheartedly there.
Amen.
Um, so we don't have a whole lot of time left. I just got a couple of more questions for you. And one I've asked several people and I've gotten various different answers, but how do you approach a recording with an ensemble cast where you're not all in the same room?
Um, okay. I'll address same room and not same room.
Okay.
First of all, everybody in the same room, that's the greatest experience a voice actor can have. Not so long ago, I was in one. Of course, they have to really isolate the microphones from each other, but it was 4 actors, compass points, north, south, east, west, and we're all there working on the same script. That isn't done very much anymore because tech rules and the engineers want to be able to, and that's why most of these are done non-interactively. I go in and do Silvers Rayleigh, not interactively in the scene with the other actors in the scene. It's so they can control it technically. So they control the sound. Nobody's stepping on anybody. If you have a director or a producer who sees the value of overlapping dialogue and people stepping on each other and interrupting each other, and you have good actors who know how to do it without ruining the product, it's the greatest experience ever. That's if you're all in the same room, and that happens less and less now. But I mean, sometimes you get in the booth, like I'm in Dallas, and you are doing a group thing, but you're not in the same room because there are 3 different scenarios: same room, remote locations all together, and then discreetly, sonically discreetly. And I did one where there was an actor in LA and an actor in Boston and me, and that was kind of fun. They have to really get their technical act together using something I think called the mix minus formula, where there's no delay, where they defeat all the delay. That's fun. That's fun as well. But your question was, if I read it right, how do you make it work like you're really in the scene when you're doing it
Yes.
by yourself?
Yes.
One word: imagination. You have to. It's interesting, and we teach this at Voices Carey too. Imagination drives so much of this work. If I have a line in front of me, let's just say, okay, let's take it one line. Addressing your question, there's a line. I go, well, how does that relate to the other people in the scene, and how am I? Then I just start somewhere with it. I go, Okay, I'll just do it as a response to a question. You know, the line might be, because I'm the greatest fighter pilot there ever was. And if it's just a standalone line, it might just be because I'm the greatest fighter pilot that ever was. But if I do it in response to a question, it's like, because I'm the greatest fighter pilot there ever was. You know, it's context, I guess is the word here. Line by line, paragraph by paragraph, scene by scene. I guess I make sure I read and understand who am I, where am I, what am I doing in this scene? What's my goal? I hope this is helpful.
Oh, it's definitely helpful.
Well, I'm learning a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah. What, and you can go deeper. Okay, so what is the person I'm dialoguing with? What's their motivation? Are they messing with me? Are they being straight up with me? Do I get defensive? Do I get aggressive? Am I just like, hey, you know, I'm the wise old master and nothing rattles my cage? I mean, certainly the character specs are going to tell you something about that. But yeah, in order to do it right, you have to really be in the scene. And if that scene is not sufficiently described to you, then you have to make it up. You have to use
Awesome.
your imagination.
Okay.
And we do that a lot. You know, that's kind of winging it emotionally.
Mhm.
And sometimes the director will say, you know, Bruce, that was very interesting. That's not what I asked for. but hey, that was interesting. Okay, give me another one like that. And yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're just taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
But get up, get out, or get out of the way. In other words, do something. You definitely you do not want to be a voice actor who's just vanilla. Who's like, well, I don't really know the context here, who I'm supposed to be, so I'll just play it safe. My advice to you is don't play it safe. Make a bold choice. You know.
I mean, worst case scenario is just, hey, that was good. Try something different
Yeah.
instead of just being like, hey, I'm the best fighter pilot ever of all time.
Yeah.
Blah. All right, I mean, are you
Yeah. You're
drunk in the
better.
scene? What's going on? You know?
Yeah. You know, I mean, whatever the line is, exactly. Or the paragraph. Yeah, you make a choice. And sometimes if you come from theater, maybe it's too big and broad, and they go, whoa, hey, they pull back on the reins there. They go, we don't need that much. Okay, fine. So now I know it's not a 9. You want me to about a 6 on performance level. Okay, that's good. Yeah, sometimes trial and error. Sometimes you throw it out there. And I think you have to not be afraid, Talent, to throw it out, just throw it out there. Do something. And I think a good director will appreciate that. You go, okay, not the direction we were going, but this actor has some juice, and we'll just refine it and point it in a different direction.
Perfect. Perfect.
Great.
So can you share any upcoming projects that you're excited about?
Never. They never let you talk about them.
Ah,
Sorry.
I have to ask. You know, I have to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a couple, but the NDAs are strict. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if
Um,
people want to see you, do you do like any, do you have any upcoming conventions coming up that you attend and maybe some of the fans can come and see you? Do you have
We
anything
do
coming up
we
soon?
do cons, we do the fan expos. We did SDAC last time, first time San Diego Anime Convention. It was the first one actually, which is not Comic-Con, which is there obviously, but and that was a smaller con. It was a lot of fun. I had a big time. We did the Kamea-Con, the Dragon Ball Z Con here in Dallas Fort Worth. They didn't have it this year. That was also fun. I tend to like the smaller cons. Did Fan Expo, and there were like 40,000 people there, and our room was packed, and that was great. We do panels at these cons.
mhm.
How to become an anime voice actor. So yes, just I would just say watch. We've applied to a bunch of them, and you never know until like the last minute for some reason. Con administration is not they you know, it's not super efficient. It's kind of willy-nilly and loosey-goosey, but we do them for sure. We're out there, so just watch for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know what you mean because we applied for media pass credentials to a lot of conventions, and it's like, well, get back to us a month before the convention is going to happen, and I'm
Oh,
like, oh, I like to plan out my year, not a month
Yeah.
at a time.
well, how about a
Yeah.
week before? And then,
Oh,
and then I gotta get Eric, the AV guy, and I gotta get Brian and Tom, and we gotta, okay, let's put our dog and pony show together here. We got
Right.
5 days, you know,
We gotta get the pictures printed. We gotta get,
all that.
this stuff taken care of. Yes, it's
yeah.
yeah, that short space of time, and you're just like, oh, why could you tell me this like a month ago? I could have prepared something more, Um,
Anybody who deals with cons deals with that.
Yes, sir.
yes.
So for anybody that would like to follow Bruce Carey, where can they find you?
On social media, Voices Carey, VoicesCarey. Sometimes there's an underscore between them. I think on Twitter it's at Voices Carey with an underscore between them. We're pretty much on all the platforms. So Google Voices Carey and it'll all come up.
Right.
And of course, if you want to get some voiceover training, go to voicescarey.com.
I
Yes.
appreciate that.
We,
Yeah.
we will definitely put the link in the description of this video.
Thank you.
That way we can help you out if there is anybody out there who is interested in becoming a voice actor. Obviously, we just sitting here for the past 57 minutes have learned a lot just by talking to
Oh,
this man.
well,
So obviously, if we've learned a lot, if two dumb kids from Tennessee can learn this, and you guys can learn it as well. So we do hope that you guys do check it out. Again, that is voicescarey.com. Again, link will be in the description along with Bruce's other social media platforms. I'm sure it's Twitter and Facebook, and we'll get all your information here in just a moment.
the only thing I would say about that is people call and say, "Are you legit?" And I would just say, as a voice acting school, all I can tell you is we actually care. We care that our people learn and do well. So that's the best I can tell you right there. And you
That's
guys are in
great.
Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yes, sir.
Well, that's East Tennessee, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went,
Mid East, yeah, something like
okay.
that.
I went to 4th grade in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where they built the atom bomb.
Where they built the bombs.
Wow.
Yes.
My daddy
That
worked
is
for some company there. I still don't know what it was.
Mm,
there's probably some NDAs around that.
yes, very much.
Anyway, great talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Hey,
Bruce, I want to thank you. I was told one time that the greatest thing that a man can share is his time, and I greatly appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you, Chip.
yes, absolutely.
So-
If you want to hang out with us for just one more minute while we pay a bill, just wanted to, thank everybody for joining us tonight. Again, Bruce, thank you for joining us tonight. And if you guys have any questions or whatever that you want to send, again, all of his information is going to be in the description of this video. Once again, voicescarey.com. If you want to learn how to be a voice actor, make sure you go check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Chip, anything you want to say before we get out here this evening?
As always, please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe on Spotify and right here on YouTube.
And if you want to continue to support Movement Radio, make sure you check out streamlabs.com/Movement Radio/merch and go copy some merch. We have, again, the Dragon Ball Z inspired merch, the My Hero Academia inspired merch, the old school logo, the new school logo, and we got a couple of other logos that we got in our brains right now. We just haven't put pen to paper yet. But when that happens, you guys will be the first one to know. Once again, Bruce, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, thank you guys for watching. I'm Talon Williams.
I'm Chip Hazard. He is Bruce Carey, and this is Movement Radio.
God's plan.